Hi everyone and welcome to another video of the Dragon's Waterfall, your channel about Knights of the Zodiac. And today is Knights 101 time again, because I'm going to talk about another Golden Knight, the Scorpio God Saint Milo. And because he's Greek, his name is pronounced Milo and not Milo. So who's Milo? Milo is the guardian of the 8th temple, or the Scorpio temple, and he's the first god saint that the master summons to his temple when he finally decides to act against the Bronze Knights. In the original anime and manga, Milo is the first Golden Knight to be introduced as such. We had previously been introduced to other Golden Knights, for example, Mu, Doko and Ayoria, but we didn't know yet that they were Golden Knights, whereas Milo immediately arrives wearing his gold clothes. And Milo immediately introduces himself as a very proud and loyal character. He's loyal to the master, but above all, he's loyal to Athena. So he's one of those Golden Knights who follows the master only believing that the master is truly loyal to Athena. But once he learns that this isn't so, he starts doubting and eventually he switches side and takes the role of a true protector of Athena. In the Knights of the Zodiac series, we know that the master has openly stated that he is going to kill Athena because of the prophecy that Athena will bring about the end of the world. So it's likely that the personality of Milo has been changed a little bit. And we've seen a few glimpses of this in the Knights series so far, because for example Milo decides to act out against Ayoria and is about to kill him when the master orders him to stop. However, in the original series, Milo is one of those Golden Knights who doubts the master, and even though he fights against Cygnus Hyoga in the Scorpio temple, he eventually is impressed enough by Hyoga that he decides to save Hyoga's life and lets him go through the 8th temple. Milo doesn't immediately act against the master at that point, but decides to just stay put and see what happens, believing that if Athena is truly with the Bronze Knights, then they will triumph against the master. Throughout the series, Milo is a reasonably headstrong and stubborn type of character, and he prefers to act rather than watch. He's very similar to Ayoria, but not quite as headstrong as Ayoria. He's often somewhere in between Ayoria and Mu, and he often acts as the voice of reason. However, some spin-off series have portrayed him as much more headstrong, to the point of risking his own life unnecessarily, just because he believes he has to go through with his convictions, even if that means risking his life. Now, Milo is a rather peculiar fighter because he has a very special fighting technique, which is called the Scarlet Needle. And unlike the attacks of most other Golden Knights, which are simple energy bolts, the Scarlet Needle is a very small, very sharp ray that hits a vital point in the enemy's body. This point isn't random, but it's located in one of the locations of the stars of the Scorpio constellation. So in a way, it's like Milo is trying to impress the 15 stars of the Scorpio constellation on the enemy's body. One hit of the Scarlet Needle isn't usually enough to kill an opponent. However, as more and more hits damage the opponent, the damage increases exponentially, and the points that Milo hits are usually either nerve clusters or large blood vessels, so the opponent is very quickly left bleeding profusely and losing consciousness and about to die. The Scarlet Needle is also an extremely painful technique. It's being compared to the poison of a real scorpion. And even though it's not actually a poison attack, the blasts of the Scarlet Needle don't contain any poison as far as we know. Not when Milo uses them, at least. There have been spin-offs with other Scorpio Knights whose attacks were poisonous, but this has never been stated regarding to Milo. However, as the hits of the Scarlet Needle increase, then the enemy is left in agony, and Milo has a little bit of a sadistic side because he doesn't kill the enemy in one shot, but he keeps hitting them and gives them time to choose between surrendering and dying. And if they don't surrender, then eventually they will go crazy due to the pain and die anyway. However, if an enemy survives the first 14 attacks of the Scarlet Needle, then Milo uses his final attack, which is called Antares. And Antares is the name of the main star of the Scorpio constellation. It is said that no one has ever survived after being hit by Antares, which causes massive hemorrhage and usually immediate death. Having said that, we do see characters occasionally survive Antares for a little bit, but they always need medical help afterwards, otherwise they will just bleed to death in a matter of moments. So the Scorpio attacks are very precise, very sharp, very painful, and this makes Milo a very peculiar fighter. He relies a lot on his speed and agility, and is one of the fastest gold saints. Now, all gold saints move at light speed, but Milo tends to have a much more physical fighting style and tends to be much more precise with his attacks. He's not one to throw thousands of attacks like Ayoria, but is very focused on where he hits. Now, in terms of relationship, as a royal golden knight, Milo has a good relationship with most of the other gold knights. He seems especially close to Ayoria and to Shaka, but he gets along with everyone pretty well. His closest friend throughout every series has always been the Aquarius gold knight Camille, and the two of them are very different, with Camille being a much more collected and cold-blooded individual, whereas Milo is much more passionate and enthusiastic even. But the two of them share a deep bond. We've never told how and why this friendship has been formed, but we do see it from time to time in the original series and in some of the spin-offs. And this eventually extends to Camille's student Hyoga, which Milo befriends after their battle in the Scorpio Temple. Milo is one of those gold knights who's very proud of their rank and status. He very often states that a gold knight is stronger than every other opponent, and sometimes he's proven wrong. For example, in the Hades saga, he battles against Radamantis and is brutally defeated, even though this happens because Radamantis is protected by the barrier of Hades, which decreases Milo's power by quite a lot. Milo doesn't have any student that we know of, but in a rather funny twist, the original plan of Masami Kurumada was to actually make Milo Hyoga's teacher, and only at the last minute this was changed to Camille, because Kurumada determined that Camille's techniques were more in tune with Hyoga's, and so Camille was better suited to be Hyoga's teacher. And there is a hint to this, because in the very first publication of the original manga, we see Milo's silhouette when Hyoga thinks and talks about his master, but this was then changed in the volume edition of the manga into Camille's silhouette. So this is a little side note about Hyoga and Camille. Now, at the end of the second season of Knights of the Zodiac, Milo was about to defeat Seiya and Shiryu at the Scorpio Temple. We don't know yet whether he will fight with Hyoga just as he did in the original series, but I would say this is extremely likely, as Knights of the Zodiac hasn't made too many changes to the major battles of the Sanctuary arc. However, what remains to be seen is how the ending of this fight will differ, and whether Milo will, like he did in the original series, whether he will side with the Bronze Knights, with the Master, or just wait and see what happens. But this is something we'll find out eventually over the next few months. But yes, this is it for now. This was Scorpio Milo for Knights 101. Do you like this character? Sound off below in the comments, and as usual, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell and talk about the world of Seiya with your friends so that more and more people can get to know this wonderful show. This is all from me from now. Take care. Bye.